Seeds may be small, but they carry global weight. They're much more than agricultural inputs. They're strategic assets tied to food security, innovation, biodiversity, and political power. Every time a seed crosses a border, it navigates a web of science, regulation, and sovereignty. Behind the scenes, a group of global experts works to keep the movement flowing, fighting to create science-based rules that protect both plant health and access to innovation. So, who decides where seeds can go, and who gets to grow the future? Let's talk about the invisible forces shaping seed trade and why they matter now more than ever.
Khaoula, thank you for making time to chat with me. So there's a lot of different regulatory issues that you're dealing with, but if you could change one attitude, one regulatory policy, what would it be?
The key important element that countries should understand that there is no country that is not interdependent of each other in this business for food security. So that's the first element. The second element would be we need to avoid this food nationalism, this around I need to have my own food sovereignty so that I can feed my country first, because the seed business is global and we cannot do out of that reality. So this is a reality. We see it in various countries, bring in new policy, either a trade policy like the tariff that have been mentioned yesterday, or also other policies like localization seed policy or additional requirement around import, export requirement, and etc. So this is really important to avoid, because as was really well mentioned yesterday in Egypt, for instance, when they asked the UN Development Agency who would like to be food secure, you need 3 river Niles to become food secure, because you need water, at least with the climate change is becoming a big issue. You cannot do it on your own. And as you have seen it from COVID, from Ukraine war, we need to have this diversification. Food should never be weaponized, as also for seed should never be weaponized. We need really fair policies that allows seeds to move and be traded around the world, because seed is the first element in the food systems. And we have, with the example of the Ukraine war, there were other seed distribution channels that could have been brought seed to the country thanks to this global trade, fair and reliable system.
If you could get one key message out beyond the edges of the seed sector and all the way to consumers, what would that message be?
So if you, just one thing is 80% of our food comes from plant-based. That's per FAO. And the value created by the seed business, now the figure we have is around $90 billion. That value is transformed along the value chain into 3 trillion in agricultural products. So if we miss the first value, everything at the end of the value chain will be disappearing.
So what would a truly resilient global seed trade regulatory system look like?
I mean, if you come back to the SDG 17A, all the countries have signed the UN's SDG 17 on multilateral trade rule that should be fair, predictable rule, and global rules that should not hinder trade around the world. That's the first element that I had.
And if you could give one call to action to the seed sector listening, what would it be?
They need to bring their voice to us, explain their hurdles, so that we can bring them a bit further in our discussion with the various international organizations in various fora where we meet policymakers and explain reality, how it is behind the seed business. So that's a key element that I would really make an announcement already.
Khaoula, thank you for the efforts that you are making on behalf of the seed sector. It truly is critical work.
Thank you so much for having me today. It was a pleasure discussing with you.